Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with the Ship With Me. These are all orders that came throughout the last couple days. Some really interesting sales, some great Bolo brands I'm excited to talk about, a little bundle action, just lots of great stuff to talk about. Can't wait to bring you into what it is, how long I had it for, what I paid for it, what I ended up getting it for. Really just kind of bring you into that part of my process. So hopefully it helps you out with that part of your process. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. With all that being said, guys, it is late in the afternoon. I've got to get these things over to the post office and I've got about 7 stops that I need to make after that. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first piece we have here is this adorable dress from Free People. And this is actually an intimately Free People piece, which is so unusual for a maxi dress. It's floaty and wonderful and cool. I initially considered keeping this for myself and actually brought this with me to Southeast Asia. It didn't ever get worn, but I did bring it with me because I thought it would make a really cute little swim cover-up. Ultimately, I just decided I didn't like it enough to keep it. If I wasn't reaching for it in a place where I was basically poolside every day I was there, I don't like it enough to keep it. So on the market it goes. This has gotta be a vacation purchase, seeing as that in most of this world, it is still frigid temperatures out. So I had this for about 4 months and I had it listed at $42. Sold comps were a little bit up on this for most Free People pieces. So I had it listed for $42. I got an offer for $35, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $26.56. I hope she loves it. I hope this is going on some fabulous vacation right now because it is very, very cute. So breezy and billowy, and isn't that what we all want? Next up is this gorgeous racer back top from a designer named Raquel Allegra. And it's a pretty niche brand. I want you to take notice of this back, right? So if you were to see this in a thrift, you would probably think that this back is destroyed. Look really closely at it, you can kind of see the texture. This is what they call, it's like their signature. It's this shredded textile that is supposed to morph and kind of organically develop over the time that you own the garment. If you ask me, it's very delicate. So if you do find a piece from Raquel Allegra, and I will tell you, you should pick up any piece you find from her because they are very expensive. I want to say that this retailed about $300. It's all silk. Just be very, very careful how you store it. Because while it is supposed to look like this, it is supposed to have a lot of variation and a lot of texture. The ideal situation is that the buyer is the person who develops that. But anyway, keep your eye out for that brand. Usually you can spot it because the tag is usually vertical and the signature is cursive. And on tops like this, it's usually down in the side seam. I always say, if you find something that feels fine and you don't see a tag on it, pick it up. Think about Lululemon. For the most part, people rip those tags out before they even put it on their body the first time. So not having a tag is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if it feels nice. Listen to your senses. But Raquel Allegra is just one, it's a brand that's sold in ultra high-end boutiques. Boutiques that sell brands like Nili Lotan, Jarbo, etc. Not a low-end boutique situation, but ultra high-end boutiques where the cheapest thing you get there is $200. The only thing is, it is a niche brand. It's very expensive, but it's a niche brand. But those in the know what this is. It will almost certainly be a slower sale, but it will be a higher end sale. And honestly, most of their stuff is so small, so lightweight, it's a lot of silk that it takes zero space to store it. Anyway, I had this listed for about 11 months. I had it listed for $56 and I got an offer for $49, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $42.57. I hope she loves it. That just feels like it would be such a breezy dream to wear. Next up here, now this is a t-shirt from Talentless. This is, I think, one of the Kardashians, Babies, Daddies brand, Scott Disick. And I will say, the pieces that I've found, I've only found 2 or 3. They are very nice. The fabric is a nice high GSM jersey. The finishing is pretty nice. The other pieces that I found have been women's shorts and they sold, so quick. So quick. But in terms of these t-shirts, this one in particular, this is just like a lesson I learned as I was selling this. So this t-shirt in particular has a pretty thick neckband. Do you see that? It doesn't look like a mock neck, but it is thicker than a typical like crew neck t-shirt. From the brand in particular, they call this the mock neck. So I didn't have it listed as the mock neck. I just said when I first listed it that it, you know, had a thicker neckband. And I got like almost no views on it. I got like no likes, you know, just had no action. The second when I learned, you know, that it was called the mock neck, that I changed the name in the listing, I immediately started getting interest in it. So make sure if you find something like this from this brand, so if you find a t-shirt from this brand and it has that thicker neckband, you wanna make sure that you are listing this as the mock neck. So I had this listed for about 2 months and I had it listed for $24 and it popped through as a full price sale. And with a $1 cost, this brought me to a profit of $18.20. So it's definitely a brand, especially with the like less significant basics. Like if you see a sweatshirt, that's maybe a different story, but the t-shirts, the shorts, they're gonna sell in that like $20 to $25 range. So if you're able to source it for a couple bucks, like that's a pretty safe bet. Next up, this is one that my mom found. This is a rugby shirt from Zara. And rugby shirts are having, you know, still a moment. They were very big last summer. I have a feeling that they're still gonna be quite big this summer. This is actually a men's shirt, which was kind of surprising to me because I was trying to find it. I was trying to find sold comps on it and I couldn't find anything until I all of a sudden switched to men's. So here we are. It's a nice oversized fit. Now, what you want to keep your eyes out for if you are searching, obviously Zara, Abercrombie and Fitch, Polo, all these companies have nice rugby shirts. If you're able to find one by a brand called Barbarian, like classic rugby shirts are generally made by this company called Barbarian, and it's super heavyweight jersey. And you know, they come in all different like stripes and patterns and whatever. And it's, you know, this is what like colleges would order their rugby shirts from. If you can find some vintage Barbarian rugby shirts, they can be worth a pretty penny. Obviously the larger the better because people like to wear them a little bit oversized, at least right now. Like I still have a Barbarian rugby from my crew days and I love it. It's definitely one of those things from my closet that I pull out on kind of like damp and cold rainy days. So anyway, I had this listed for about 2 months. I had it listed for $25 and I got an offer for $18, which I did accept. With a roughly $1 cost from the East Coast bins, this brought me to a profit of $13.40. I hope they love it. It's in pretty perfect condition, so. And I love that color for a men's shirt. Next up, here's a beautiful little top that I had found from Torrid. This is like a sheer mesh with this like beading and embroidery right here on the front. I think you're able to see a little bit of that sparkle there. It's a size 3, which I believe is a 3X. So this is made to be a pretty like slim, this is made to be like a tight fit. And I will say, like, even though this fits into that kind of more goth aesthetic, this did take a while to sell. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that had a lot to do with the fact that it is like a pretty skin tight fit. That just in general, in all sizes, is something that moves a little bit slower for anything other than like a basic or like a corset top right now. But it is so, so pretty. And slowly but surely, I am moving the vast majority of my Torrid inventory out. Very, very selective these days. It was funny when I was kind of putting the sale details into my spreadsheet with this, I saw how many, Torrid pieces I had picked up, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I can just see the inventory slow down. I think I've picked up like one thing in the past 4 months, right? Sounds like most of you are doing the same. So anyway, I had this listed for about 8 months. Again, Torrid has just slowed down significantly. I had it listed for $28. I'm pretty sure that I had brought the price down once, maybe twice. So I had it listed at $28 and I got an offer for $23.80. I was ready to move this on with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $21.62. I do hope you love it. It is, again, that beading is really, really pretty. I don't know how well that picked up on the camera, but it's lovely. Next up, I've got this really cool Y2K vintage skirt. I love picking up this kind of stuff. This is from Nanette Lepore, and it's about knee length. And it's got these really cute kind of pleats here in the front. I don't know how much you're seeing the detail there. And this fabric is like the finest whale corduroy I've ever seen. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's just so unique. This is one of those things, and I always say this about a lot of like great vintage pieces, like find another, like This is a pretty specific design. I can't imagine it being like a huge seller back in the day. Nanette Lepore is pretty expensive. And you know, like who knows how many survived. I mean, I think about this kind of stuff all the time. You know, before services like Poshmark and Depop and everything, for the most part, if anybody was selling secondhand clothing, it was on eBay. And I don't think that that game really picked up as much until probably like the mid 2000s. I'm sure people did it, but like it certainly wasn't mainstream. And like I think about all of the gems like this. Like think about all those vintage Juicy Couture tracksuits that people would pay a ton of money for right now. Like we donated them. I mean, not me, like I never had one, but like we just donated our stuff and it went to the thrift store, and if it didn't get sold, it's gone. Like it was either, you know, shipped overseas to be in a landfill or went to a landfill here. We hope that it ultimately ended up on somebody's back again, but just like the sheer amount of vintage treasure that is not around anymore because we didn't have resale sites available to us is just like gut-wrenching. Anybody else? Is that just me? I think about that stuff all the time. So anyway, I had this listed for just 1 month and I had it listed for $34. I got an offer for $32, which I did accept with a $1 cost. This brought me to a profit of $26.20. Happy to be getting this back out for some more wear because it is beautiful. It's really, really well made and just like so interesting. All right, next up here, this is a pair of cute faux leather pants from Judy Blue. You know, I've been keeping my eyes out on Judy Blue. I know that there's a lot of people who love them and they really seek them out. And I'm talking like resellers really like to resell Judy Blue. It's one of their like bolo brands. And this is really the last piece that I've picked up, and I think I've sold off everything else that I've had. And one of the things that I've noticed, because I have seen quite a bit of it while I've been outsourcing, and one of the things that I've noticed that I want to make sure that you guys are keeping your eyes out for, I think that the whole shtick with Judy Blue is that they are like super, super stretchy and super comfy, and like respect, I get that. But one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of the pieces that I've picked up is that they have, I'm sure that there's a technical term for it, but if you've ever had a pair of stretch jeans, and this usually happens in like a thinner pair of stretch jeans, where the fabric has kind of gotten to the point where it's stretched out and has a little bit of a ripple to it, like even like not like when it's being worn and kind of being pulled over hips or whatever, but just, you know, you take it out of the wash and you can see like a little ripple. And sometimes that happens like right here in the front of the hips, because that's usually like the widest part of somebody, you know, the bum and the hips. But like every piece of Judy Blue that I've found recently has had those ripples. So especially if you are sourcing at a higher dollar than at the bins, make sure if you are picking up Judy Blue jeans that you are inspecting really, really closely for those kind of stretched out ripples, because you really shouldn't be selling them with that. That basically means that the elasticity is gone and it's never gonna wear quite the same. These, however, were like brand new condition. They really didn't look like they had much wear at all. If more than once, I would kind of be surprised. Anyway, I had these listed for about 7 months. And I had them listed at $38. I got an offer for $32, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $24.60. So I hope she loves them, but guys, just make sure, any kind of stretch jeans, especially like a lighter weight stretch, just make sure you're doing a good inspection of that textile to make sure that it's not kind of like past its wear date. All right, next up, speaking of Y2K vintage treasures, this is from Juicy Couture. And this is just a really simple, black like boat neck t-shirt, super lightweight. If you were anywhere between like 15 and 25 in the early 2000s, you are very familiar with this kind of shirt. So this was in like perfect condition. I will urge you, like at least right now, because it is red hot, to pick up any kind of vintage Juicy Couture you can find. Newer Juicy Couture is made in China. So if you look at the tag and it says, you know, something to the tune of like made in the glamorous USA, you know that it's vintage. And even better if you can find one of the older, even before the kind of Y2K. I found only one piece, and it was this like drawstring linen skirt from like the mid 90s. It was like early days of Juicy Couture. For sure pick that up. That, if memory serves me right, that label was just like kind of like white with block letters. It was cool. Like when I picked it up, I knew the brand, but I had no idea what I was looking at because I'd never seen that tag before. And it sold like immediately for about $50, and it had some damage. So again, this was a really basic piece, but keep your eyes out for those tracksuits. And I will say, if you do find a tracksuit, this is just a word from the wise person that was like in that age range at that time. I urge you, if you do find the track pants or the, you know, a track jacket, to just really, really check it carefully for damage. They were very expensive back in the day, and sure, there were like a lot of people that, you know, for them that was not a big deal to buy something like that, but for a lot of people, like certainly people that I knew that had them, it was a very big expense, and like they asked for it like it was their big Christmas present, and they would wear those things to death. So check the heels in particular, check the crotches, because I know some of them have like blown out crotches. Just do a really good check on the condition, because again, a lot of those were worn like 3 times a week. Anyway, I had this listed at $32 for just 3 weeks. Pop through is a full price sale. A lot of full price sales today. $2 cost of the bins has brought me to a profit of $23.60. I hope she loves it. I hope she has a nice little moment of nostalgia with it. I know I certainly did. Hopefully you did as well. Next up is this absolute, look at this thing. Look at this thing. And I want you to get up close on that, because that is actually like open work lattice. Right there. Isn't that wild? I will always pick up these kind of vests. These will always have a market either for teachers, it's 100% cotton. I think this back is actually linen. Just pressed out those little tie pieces so she can have that fresh when she opens it. But this thing is absolutely incredible, and it was in perfect condition. I think maybe my favorite part were those ridiculous little flower buttons. So cute. I mean, imagine what this would cost today if it was made by one of like the trendy companies that people are buying from. This would cost $200 minimum. When I looked this up to see if I could find any kind of comps, like this looks like something that this brand did. Like they had a bunch of different vests with that kind of lattice work front. These kind of things just make me smile. There's this whole trend of like dopamine dressing, you know, just dressing in things that make you smile. And this is like definition of, for a lot of people. Not my style, but like 100%. This is a dopamine dressing moment. But I will pick these kind of things up anytime I see them. I have sold so many of these kind of novelty vests, and I will continue to pick them up probably forever. So anyway, I had this listed for just under 1 month, and I had it listed for $32, and it popped through as a full price sale, another one. And with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $24.85. Not at all surprised that this was a fast sale. Kind of also not surprised that this was a full price sale. That thing is absolutely fabulous. Next up, we have a 4-piece bundle and some great pieces. The first one we have here is this gorgeous Chico's. I want to say that this is vintage Chico's, and I think from probably the 90s, but I will say this thing is flawless. It's a heavier weight linen, so it has a nice drape to it. It's made in Turkey, so you know it's amongst the best. It's just a nice kind of relaxed fit, great closet staple. That is piece 1. Piece 2, this is one I just picked up. This is another 90s vintage piece. This is from Express. Again, in that kind of similar relaxed fit. It's a rayon silk blend velvet, which really gives the feel of a silk velvet. Like a lot of people in this world have never felt real silk velvet, and that's in no way surprising, because it is wildly expensive, like only used like on the finest couture dresses, because you can really get the feel of it with this blend, which is significantly cheaper. I mean, it's not cheap. It's definitely better than a polyester velvet, but it does have that gorgeous drape to it like a silk velvet does. I remember growing up, my mom, you know, she had a big sewing room upstairs, and she had this piece of velvet. It was like one piece of velvet, just a single, like it was a scrap from something or another. And it was like a royal purple, a little bit more blue than this. And that was like, if I was up there with her and she was sewing, like I was constantly playing with it. I wonder what happened to that scrap of purple velvet. But I mean, like I will pick up this kind of velvet from any brand, anytime. Velvet in general sells really well for me, but this kind of silk blend is like, it's in and out of my closet like that, and for good reason. It's just, it feels like such a luxe fabric, and it has that beautiful sheen to it. Next up is this super cute sweater from Easel. Easel is a brand, I believe Easel's basically like a boutique brand, a higher end boutique brand that sold at Anthropologie for a little bit, and all of the styles I've ever picked up from them really kind of like fit that bill. This has a feel and a drape like linen, and it's got like, look at these sleeves. I know that there are a lot of people out there that absolutely love like a chunky sleeve, like a chunky cuff, and this fits the bill. It's just got a really nice drape to it. And then piece 4 is this adorable open weave, 100% cotton, sleeveless, like boxy shell from Abercrombie. I literally just took this off of my clothesline, so it's a little stiff. By the way, if you ever get anything from me that has been air dried on my clothesline, just throw it in the dryer if you don't like the stiffness. The stiffness will kind of wear itself out with wear over an hour or two, but I promise you I don't starch my stuff. I like to air dry things to keep it in as good a condition as humanly possible. That is the bundle there. These are all kind of like fun closet staples in different ways, but in ways that feel very cohesive to me. Absolutely love that Express shirt, and I'll tell you, if it was my size, that would not have been for sale. That is so my flavor. I clearly love a button down in all the fabrics that button downs come from, and I have yet to find a good velvet one for myself, especially in a color that I like. So I'd had these for really varying amounts of time. That Abercrombie one in particular I'd had for probably about 11 months. That's why I wanted to throw it in for another quick wash before I shipped it out. Anyway, the total bundle price on all of these pre-discount was $130. My bundle price was $110.50, and she offered me $99, which I gladly accepted with a $6 total cost from the bins. This brought me to a profit of $73.20, and I hope she absolutely loves these pieces. Between that like Chico's linen and that gorgeous purple velvet, and finally this amazing little skirt. Now this is like a swim cover up, and I have to handle this pretty gently because that is all like heavy fringe. You see like how thick that is on my arm, and I'm really doing my best to keep it like untangled, you know? So this is from Devin Windsor, and I believe this was sold on Revolve. It was like $268. This skirt is so expensive. She made it in pink, and she also made it in black. Just trying to like do my best to make sure that this fringe doesn't get super tangled. So I'm kind of giving it like a little bit of a hairband here with paper, and that should at least keep it from like tangling up on itself. You know, you always gotta wonder how this thing was shipped in the first place, right? Like I considered braiding it. Like I've considered a lot of different options with this thing, so hopefully this holds pretty well. Okay, we're just gonna do that, and we're gonna wrap this nice and tight. So yeah, this was like $268, and it had a cute matching top, and the whole kit was like $500. So this is for the girl that really is committed to that poolside look. It's also a size large, which is an exciting, you know, like I feel like I never find pieces like this in anything other than size small or extra small. But here it is, and I'll tell you, when I found this in the bins, and it was just like sitting on top of the bin. I'm like, it's weird and well made, so I'm gonna pay attention. And when I got it back to my cart, you know, I looked it up and I saw the original price. I had never heard of the brand, I had never heard of the designer before, but for sure, a brand to be on the lookout for. I'll tell you, I didn't have it for that long, and I had a ton of interest on it, but I will tell you, I got, and this again, $268 new, and for the most part, the sold comps, there wasn't too many of them, but the sold comps on these were about, you know, between $80 and $150. But the sheer amount of like $20 offers I got on this was kind of crazy. So anyway, I had this listed for $108 for about a month and a half, and it popped through as a full price sale. Another one with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $94.82. Oh my God, I hope she absolutely loves it. I mean, this little skirt has gotta be so fun to wear. I mean, I love fringe. Fringe is just a fun thing to wear on this to start with, and like this much fringe, so good. But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally got my work done. The sun is starting to get low in the sky, so I need to get these things loaded up in my car and over to the post office, and hopefully I can hit out all the rest of the errand stops that I need to do hopefully before dinner time. But guys, I always appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your busy days to hang with me. It is so nice to have somebody to yak with while I'm doing my work. I appreciate you all so much. If you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. Of course, if you have any kind of content you'd like to see me make, never hesitate to put that down below. I love making content for you guys, but without further ado, everyone, I want you to have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.